All right, good morning. For the hardcores that are here this early in the morning, welcome. I'm Tony Oro. I'm one of the co-directors of the CHRI along with Mary Leonard and David Stevenson. We had a great day yesterday, and so the fact that you're here this early after being here until 6 o'clock last night means that you guys are really into it. So congratulations. What we want to do today for this first is just to warm you up. You had a long day yesterday, it's early in the morning, you haven't had enough caffeine, and so we want to get you a little pumped. So what we're going to do is give you a little bit of a wrap-up of yesterday, and then get you excited about an amazing morning of talks. And so what we want to do first is to give you basically a little bit of a review about and a blatant advertisement for the Child Health Research Institute. This is actually the 10-year anniversary of the CHRI. And so the question is, what does the CHRI do, and how can you in the audience work with us to actually further child health? So the CHRI really is the research and development arm of Packard Hospital. It was first put together by Hugh Brodovich, Phil Pizzo 10 years ago to really make strategic investments in research and development in people in child health. And that's all comers. That's across the country, across the campus. We give out about $7 million of grants every year, 55 different types of grant awards, 16 different departments across the campus. These are our partners. So Child Health Research Institute is not just a pediatric institute. It really partners with different institutes across the campus that may help us make strategic investments in seed funds and in people that will then go out and teach other physicians to actually for innovative child care. And those are listed here, including Diabetes Institute and others. What's important though is that we have these funding programs are not just for seed grants, but they're actually developing young and promising investigators, many of which you'll hear about at Childx, and try to partner with the community, folks like you guys that have ideas about how to improve child health in terms of epidemiology, community programs, on global outreach. We want to help, we want you to work with us to further child health. And so if you have ideas, please come talk to the directors of CHRI. Maybe we can develop funding mechanisms around new and innovative programs that you've come up with by listening to Childx. And so that's really the goal of Childx in particular. Some things that are new are educational symposium monthly that we've come through, that we've just started. The next one is actually May 7th, Monday, May 7th. And it's both maternal and child health. The first one was actually childhood CAR T cell with Crystal Mackel. And the next one is with Virginia Nguyen looking at maternal preeclampsia. So please come to those. They're actually if you just drill a hole right through the floor here, that's where the symposium is, Monday, May 7th at noon. So I hope to see you there. And with that, I want to call up Jim Woody, who wants to give a special presentation to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the CHRI.
Good. Yeah. Good morning. I'm Dr. Jim Woody. I'm a pediatric immunologist, but I've been on the board of the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital for 10 years. I've been recycled 3 times to manage the quality and safety committee because I'm very committed to all of our patients getting the best care. But I just wanted to call out Hugh Obranovich. Hugh, are you here? Could you stand up? Because I was on the board when Hugh outlined this program and the strength it would bring to the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital. And he was extremely persuasive, and the board agreed with enthusiasm. So that was very good. I just want to make one other comment, and that is that the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital treats the highest acuity patients in the country with the best outcomes. And it's the CHRI that helps us do that because you're constantly bringing new and novel therapies. And so that's the strength. So you should all take some pride in the Packard Children's Hospital and Hugh's contribution. Thank you, Hugh.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
All right. Okay, so can you cue the first slide? So in a typical good morning class, to talk about a wrap-up of yesterday, what would you want better than a pop quiz? Okay, so take out your phones, and I want you to tell me, true or false, interactions of neurons with local and systemic factors guide development, maintenance, and cancer. Is that true or is that false? Okay, you guys must have really been there yesterday. So we'll take the next slide. That's me. Great. And you guys were there. So I think the real point of this was the session yesterday on with Michel Manja and Tony Wiscaria was that neurons are not, and the brain in terms of childhood development is not independent. They're actually intimate connections with locally with glial cells that then interact with neurons, and the neurons themselves interact with glia intimately to actually maintain and develop the brain. It's not just locally in these glial neuron interactions, but actually systemically. And so Tony Wiscaria told us, and so that was pointed out by Michel Manja in terms of this glial neuron interaction, which is intimately involved in glioblastoma, childhood gliomas, and development. But also, Tony Wiscaria told us in this slide here, which is pretty amazing, that to maintain neurodevelopment, when you get older, which is more relevant to me or you guys in the audience, that systemic factors that come from the body into the brain and bathe the brain have an important role in maintaining neural development. And so if you basically take in this slide, if you then use parabiosis and you hook up old mice with young mice, the circulating factors from the young mouse can have dramatic and immediate effects on cortical function in Alzheimer's patients from the young blood. And so that's a pretty amazing discovery from yesterday. Okay, next slide. Okay, question number 2. All the following are principles of effective regulatory oversight, except one of them. And so I'll just read them. So should we encourage sponsors to commit depositing protocols and results in public databases, partnerships and collaborate with other regulatory authorities, maximizing data quality, or as you guys very obviously have been there yesterday, private discussions with stakeholders. And so that's exactly the issue. These are from Jeffrey Kahn's wonderful talk on the ethics of how do we develop oversights, not just on old technologies like recombinant DNA research from the 70s, which we were scared that bacteria would actually pass plasmids in DNA to the environment. And now things like CRISPR genetics, where we can take human embryonic stem cells and make genetic mutations of any kind to then do immediate human evolution in a dish and then make tissues. How do we regulate those things? These kind of principles where we encourage the sponsors to commit to depositing protocols, have public discussions with stakeholders where everyone can see the interactions that are going on, partnership and collaborate with regulatory authorities, and then maximize data quality. In particular, maximizing data quality that's public really is, so we can all have the shared common information to make the decisions together as a community are really the most important things. Okay, question 3. We have 2 more. So far, you guys are doing great, okay? True or false, thanks to the unwavering efforts of educators, the Early Childhood Education Act system in the US is a model for countries like China and Norway. Okay. Clearly, okay. Okay, raise your hand if you're the 4%. Okay. Early childhood education programs are actually wonderful. Because they exist in the US, but we can do better. And the data from Catherine Snow is very clear that early childhood education programs, interventions throughout the years have important effects, as you can see here on the slide that she presented, on a number of different outcomes, including, for example, high school graduation, grade retention, and special education. But importantly, the US system is, as she points out, is as outdated as the rest of our crumbling infrastructure. And I'm not going to talk about that politically, but for example, in other countries, and interventions early, where every child has early childhood education intervention, helps the family structure, the children, and their health as well. And so moving toward that sort of a model is what was presented yesterday as for proposal. And then lastly, number 4, all the following are strong correlates of high upward mobility areas. And by high upward mobility areas, that includes folks that actually were in the lower quartile when they started their life and then moved in a socioeconomic status up into the upper quartile. So what are the following are the strong correlates, except for one of those? Clearly, you guys stayed until 6 o'clock last night. Because this talk, amazing talk by Raj Shetty, really pointed out in his amazing work that has been published and now replicated by a number of different groups, were that these correlates here, lack of residential segregation, less income equality, a structured family structure, and higher social capital and higher primary school quality were all strong correlates for those individuals that started out at the lower quartile and then moved through their lifetime upwardly. And so I think those are really important. And also the thing he pointed out is that it's not just globally, but even in the Bay Area, county by county, these individual correlates differ. So the heterogeneity within even a single city is dramatic. And so he's pointing out that within each zip code, we should actually use these measures to then go through it. And in fact, one of the most things he pointed out was on the last slide, which is what he calls the fading American dream, where the percentage of children earning more than their parents by year of birth, shown here, and it was 90% in 1940, and now it's around 50% and has gone down steadily over the years. But in the paper that is listed here in Science, which is one of the most amazing papers on the subject, he points out, and his group points out in the Science paper from last year, that the decline can be blunted if the income actually was more equally distributed between the different. So really what's happening is there's income inequality, which is leading to the fading American dream. And so with that, I'll leave that for you to think about. Today, I want to introduce now the moderator for today's session. If you think yesterday was amazing, which it was, today's morning session, you should hold on to your seats because this next group is pretty amazing. So I'll give it over to Paul Fisher from neurosurgery.